Alright, what's up YouTubes? Back again with another data review. This time it's going to be reviewing myself versus Nolan Lamkin. I'm on my '09 SFV 650 Gladius. He is on a Moto America prepped R6, and he is significantly faster than me. But there's still some information we can glean from this, even though it looks like we're on completely different playing fields, because we are. You can see he's going pretty much faster than me in every single spot, but I can still look at slow points, tip-in points, a few different things like that, and figure out where I'm going horrifically wrong. I've only been to VIR twice, and still getting used to the bike last year when I was there, and just getting better at riding in general. So I found a lot more speed in myself and in my bike at other tracks since then, so I'm thinking I should find 2 to 4 seconds easily just from being a better rider now. I haven't been there since April of 2024, and it was my second time there. So I ran a 146.2 or 146.289. Nolan ran a 128.969, which is really moving. Let's see. Also, this data is available online. Nolan gives away all of his data, at least for a couple years. Just go to his website. This is on his R6. I think he gives away his BMW data too. So right off the bat, just looking at slow points, I can see my slow point is early here going into turn 1, and then my slow point is pretty good going into turn 3. It's just way too slow. We'll talk about that later. Slow point going into turn 7. Once again, too slow, but not horrifically slow. That'll get better, but it's too early, so then I have to just kind of grab neutral throttle and let it push me up the hill, which isn't ideal. Be much better if I could use the brakes up the hill. And same thing for turn 10. Slow point's way too early. Should be carrying speed slightly down into the waterfall. It's a entry turn, I believe. And same thing here, going into 12A and B. Scrubbing way too much speed, way too early. So my slow point's back here. It should be right about here, maybe 50 feet ahead of that. So let's go through it. My top speed's only 116. It should be a lot higher, but my gearing was wrong at the time. I was running a 15 front sprocket. Rear sprocket was a 46. I think I'm going back to VIR to do some practicing before ASRA. Switching to a 44 rear, and I'm also running a 180 tire, so slightly different than if you're running the stock 160. So going into turn 1, braking too early for my given speed, and my slow point is way too early. I've also looked at the lean angle of this, and it's hard to see it, but the line, I'm tipping in too late, which is a common theme for me. I've worked it out a lot since last year, but this is a year and a month ago, so tipped in too late, which I have to make my radius even tighter, so I have to scrub even more speed. And by the time I get to there, I have to pick up neutral throttle just to get me through the turn. Meanwhile, Nolan's still slowing, and then he's bringing his brakes past the initial apex where that curbing is, I believe. And then he's picking up his throttle again. Also, the data he has a throttle trace and a lot of other stuff, but I mostly just look at the throttle and brakes on his side. I don't have that. I just have a regular AIM Solo 2. But yeah, by the time he's picking up the gas, I've already been on the gas for 100 feet or so. Then he starts to get away from me, but that's this easy time. Then through here, pretty okay. I think I used not enough track coming through there. Clean that up, or I will clean that up on Memorial Day when I'm there with Pre. Then going into 3, my slow point's good. It's at the exact same spot as his, but it is 14 miles per hour too slow. So go in there next week. Plan to just be a little bit more confident. Probably, definitely find a lot of brake markers and reference points. At the time, I didn't really use those. I just kind of rode by feel, which at a track like VIR, where everything's blind, you definitely need those. Then going into, I think that's 4. Let me check my map. Yeah, 4A. So going into 4A, pretty good. My slow point is too early, slightly too slow, but I'm gonna get better with that. I'm not too worried about it. It's only a few miles per hour. And also, I would say 4A is a entrance turn, and I'm doing all my slowing before I even get to the turn. So more like a exit turn. So I need to bring more speed past the apex, which is what that means. And then as I'm on the left side of the tire and I flip back to the right side, I shut the throttle completely, which is why you see that gap there. I'm the blue. Nolan's the burgundy, by the way. Then as I flip back to the right side of the tire, should be opening the throttle a little bit, then letting off of it, so I can get a good drive out of 5A, which sets me up for a better drive through 6 and 6A and into 7, which in general, the areas I'm going to focus on the most when I get there, because this is where there is the most speed to be had, the straightaway, so coming out of 13. But we'll get to that towards the end, and then getting out of 5A, if I can get a better drive out and also have slightly more roll speed, I will get a higher top speed between 5A all the way to 7, which is a huge chunk of time. Anywhere there's area between my line and his line that is relatively large is where there's the most time to be had. So get a better drive out of 5A, then braking's pretty decent, pretty close to him anyway. Can always move it back. Definitely I will find a brake marker and stick with it, and then maybe move it back as the day goes on, see how that feels. But more importantly, the slow point, I am over slowing slightly, but my slow point's too early. So I'm bringing the brakes down to say the bottom of the hill, then I'm picking up the gas and just kind of pushing myself over the hill and just sitting there and waiting for the corner to open up. Meanwhile, Nolan is bringing the brakes to, say, mid-hill. I don't know, let's say 50 feet. Going up the hill, this is turn 7, it goes uphill and to the right. Yeah, and then once the bike is pointed, he's back on the gas and driving through all this section, which this isn't my best section. I'm definitely losing some time here, but it's not anywhere near as much as, say, turn 1 or this chunk right here. So I'm not really going to worry about it. I'm just going to put that on the back burner, and I'll worry about it at the track. It'll probably come up, especially as I get behind some other riders. What I'm more concerned about is going into turn 10. So slow point, going into 10, I think they call that the waterfall or the carousel. I can't remember. I overslow way too early, so my slow point is here before I even tip into the turn, which this is all going downhill and to the right, so you can't really see where you're going. So ideally, same as the other turns, I'll pick a brake marker, stick with it, and then I'll pick a tipping point and try to do as Nolan does and bring the brakes past the apex, or at least to it, which, let's see, this is Nolan's slow point. And I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, I would say that's at least to it, maybe slightly past, and then pick up the throttle. And then, recurring theme of me chopping the throttle entirely last year, every time I needed a transition. You can see as our speed traces start to go up, Nolan's continues to go up, mine starts to go down. That's because I chopped the throttle completely. Ideally, I at least leave it open to start out with, then work with maybe leaving it, say, 20%, then see how 30% feels, then 40% as I transition from right to left. That way I can get some of the speed back, and then that'll transition into me getting a higher speed in between, I think that's 11 and 12A. And then going into 12A and B, I scrub way too much speed. Instead of carrying that speed through 12A and B, I scrub a lot of it too fast. So I'm consistently, like, I think 20 miles per hour slower than him. So that's just a confidence thing. I should be a lot better at that now. I did, I don't know, 10 to 12 track days last year. Have a lot more confidence in this bike and being on the side of the tire with it. So then instead of using the brakes to get to the slow point of this turn, I have to pick up the throttle and use that to drive me back out to where my slow point should be, where I should have carried the brakes to. And then when I start to try to drive out of the turn, it looks like I'm already starting to run wide, so I have to roll off the throttle slightly. You can see as my speed trace goes down, then I can get back to it. So if I clean that up, I'll get a better exit, which will lead to a higher top speed, or at least get to whatever my poor SV's top speed is sooner. So in review, get better going into one with a better slow point. Also, I'll change my gearing between now and then. I'll write down a bunch of notes. I'll probably go through every main braking turn, or big braking zone anyway, and get a brake marker on a tip-in point, and then get a definitive slow point that I'm braking to, and then trying to get away from, because you can kind of see it, but how little roll speed matters in a lot of this. But me and Nolan, even though he's a professional rider and I'm just a dude who works in an office and likes to ride motorcycles, our roll speed or corner speed is similar. Like for here, when we're going through one, we're both going 43 or 42 miles per hour. But he's getting to that 43 or 42 miles per hour so much more efficiently and getting away from it. That's where all that time is made, the area between his line and my line. And like right there, there's some space, but everything else, like from here to here, there's only, yeah, a second between there, let's say there, but between there and there, there's 3 seconds. So it makes almost no sense to focus on this, or focus on that little bit, or focus on that little bit, or focus on that little bit, when I should be focusing on that whole chunk, or that whole chunk, or that whole chunk. So this is what I do, or have been doing, to get myself up to speed at whatever track I'm at. If you want me to do it for you, shoot me an email at weighttransferperformance@gmail.com. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.